What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Fear Freaks Podcast. I'm Braden.
I'm Destiny.
We are the Fear Freaks. Got a very, very, very exciting episode tonight. I don't know how much convincing this took you, Des, to want to do this episode or not, but I feel like that these are fun to, debrief what it is that we're doing in the horror world and all that stuff. So, I'm excited to talk about this tonight, but I hope everyone here in the chat is doing fantastic. It's Wednesday night. Before we start saying anything else, I do want to say hello to the chat. How are you guys doing tonight? We got Lamontre in the house. We got Brettman, who's going to be tuning in once his stream is done. And you know what? I know it's not a super chat, but you know what? Because you're elsewhere right now, this is what you get.
Now you gotta die. Those are the rules.
When you watch the playback, I hope that gives you a nice little laugh. But no, it's okay, buddy. We will see you here hopefully shortly. Brandon. Hey, Fear Freaks, and yours is highlighted green. Thank you so much for being a member of the channel, and also thank you for being a Patreon. I have not updated your name on the Patreon card yet, but I do want to give a shout out to all of the Patreons here tonight. Brandon, I'm going to leave your comment up right here because you are now a Patreon of the channel. Thank you so much for being here and being a supporter of the content and everything. If you guys would like to be a Patreon, Brandon, I'm going to go ahead and hide your comment now. You guys can do so right there. Patreon.com/Braden Timmons if you guys are looking at joining that. But thank you to all the Patreon so far. Let's get back into saying hi to everyone. And Tanis, I figured you were going to be in here tonight, buddy. I know that this is your favorite horror event of all time. This is mine as well. I love Halloween Horror Nights. Destiny can attest for that. How many times over the summer, even now, how many Halloween Horror Nights things do I constantly send you? It's ridiculous.
A lot. It is a lot.
I'm basically a super fan. I fucking love this event a ton.
Yeah.
Blu-ray, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Aaron, how you doing? Denise, what's up? And Ashton, I think everyone that we got in here so far right now. I hope that you guys are all doing well on this Wednesday night. We got 2 more days till Friday. Let's have a great rest of the week. But Des, what's happening tonight? What's going on within your world of horror for this week?
Well, really, everything that I watched, you watched. And they were mainly your first-time watches. So I think you should go first.
Did I update? Did we watch anything after Mike and Dave last week?
No.
That was the last movie we watched?
Yeah. So
Really? Okay. So, because I'm looking at my activity, I was like, I've been doing really good this year at updating my letterbox. So I should have a pretty easy end of the year recap at the end of the year. But yeah, let me see here. So I talked about The Nun 2 last time we did Fear Freaks, right? I said that I'd watched that.
Yeah.
But we saw that and we both fell asleep. So guys, we both, and it had nothing to do with the movie, okay? Because I did say on the last episode of Fear Freaks, I said that The Nun 2 is better than the first one. That is true. It is better than the first Nun movie. But Friday, we did river tubing all day, and then we went out to dinner, and then we went to go see The Nun, and we literally fucking, so I was falling asleep first, and Destiny kept fucking hitting my arm. She was like... And she would stare at me like she was gonna freaking murder me if I didn't stay awake. And then literally she ends up she slowly starts falling asleep. I was in and out at the end, and by the time the movie was over, I had noticed that she was asleep. We both passed the hell out during The Nun 2. I'm lucky I woke up because I think she was actually knocked out. If I didn't nudge her and wake her up, I swear to God the cleaning crew would have found us both in the freaking theater at the very end of the movie. So yeah, we both fell asleep. We're both terrible, but we saw the 10:30 p.m. show. It's a 2-hour movie, and yeah, we just knocked the fuck out. So yeah,
dude, those chairs are so comfy. And it was funny because afterwards he's like, what did you think? And I was like, it was better than the first one. I fell asleep maybe not even 30 minutes into it.
Yeah,
because I don't remember anything about it, really.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I was in and out of it. I was in and out of it. I'm not going to say any spoilers here in case anyone in the chat hasn't seen it yet, but there was a scene I was asking her about. I was like, hey, did you see this? And she was like, no. I was like, well, all right. I mean, so the scene from the trailer was the newspaper scene, like where like the newspapers or the magazines all like make the nun. And I was awake for that scene. Apparently she wasn't. I thought she was. But yeah, I mean,
I missed all the good scares from the trailer. I was out for them.
I'm honestly still so pissed off. I was telling her this on the way home that I knew that shit was coming. I knew it. And it got me in the press screening, and it got me this time too. I was like, God damn it. I was like, why? Like, I know it's coming, and it still freaking got me. And I tried to time it too. Maybe that's what it is. I think your brain is just trying to time when it's going to happen. And then when it happens like even a second off guard, you're just like, motherfuckers. Like, you know. But yeah, I see the nap too. Yeah, no, and again, it's not because the movie was boring or anything. It's just simply because we were just very tired. Rosie, what's going on? How's it going? Welcome into the chat tonight. Red Hood Venom, first time I'm seeing you in here. Name isn't ringing any bells. Maybe you changed your name or something, but welcome in. I'm glad to have you in here. Welcome to Fear Freaks. It gets a little crazy here, so if you can handle the craziness, then welcome, and you're welcome to stay.
It's not that bad.
It gets pretty crazy. Don't listen to her. No. So, Destiny, what else? You said that you wanted me to continue to go down the list, right? Because most of them were first time watches for me.
Yeah.
It is a little bit different, guys. Normally she's got a list, and I just kind of give some generic thoughts. But watched Malignant. Watched that for the very first time. I enjoyed that, man. I really did. I thought it was solid. I mean, Gabriel was creepy as hell. I mean, I liked him more when we didn't see him, but you know, like the whole idea as to him being attached to the main character is just like.
I hope everyone's seen Malignant.
Oh yeah, that is true. Sorry. That doesn't mean attached can mean a couple different things. So
hey, don't dig yourself deeper.
I'm just saying. But yeah, so Malignant, loved it. I'm gonna just in case people haven't seen it here. Yeah, but great movie. James Wan. My favorite shot of the movie is definitely one that I saw in the marketing, and it's where she's like running up the stairs and the camera's kind of like going through the whole house and everything, which apparently James Wan is one of those filmmakers that literally the studio will grant whatever he wishes. Because I remember when David F. Sandberg was he was shooting Annabelle Creation, and James Wan was shooting another movie, and some of the executives was telling him, they were like, yeah, well, James likes the wall broken open so he can move the camera. And David F. Sandberg, just listening to his interview is so funny. He's like, well, I want that kind of power. How do I get that kind of power? So yeah, but it's really cool, that whole camera thing. I just love the way he directs movies. So yeah, Malignant was great. Creep 2, watched Creep 2 for the first time. Again, that was a movie that we watched very late at night, where we fell asleep a couple of times watching that. We actually had to rewind it probably 3 times before ending up. And it's not even that long of a movie either. We just started it really late at night. And yeah, no, that I enjoyed the hell out of that one too. I don't know which one I liked more, but these are some of the finest found footage films that I've ever seen. I think that they're well crafted. I think that the character in Creep 2, his name's Aaron. He's a different character every single time. I mean, his vibe is the same, but he's different in every movie, in Creep and Creep 2. And I'm sure if they ever decide to do a Creep 3, he's also going to have a different name, but will also, but yeah. Creep 2, I very much enjoyed as well. And then The Hills Have Eyes, the remake. I've never seen the Hills Have Eyes, shockingly enough. And enjoyed the shit out of that one too. And I knew exactly why Destiny was a fan of the movie, and it's because our hero has blood. Literally by the end of the movie, he's just covered in blood. So I was like, this is definitely a Destiny movie for a fact, and I know exactly why she definitely wanted to do that. So
yep.
Yep. Let's see here. Brandon says, question for the Patreon or YouTube membership perks. Do you guys do private Discord watch parties? That's something that I am currently looking into doing. I do have that as part of the description. I haven't done one yet, but I'm looking at getting one set up. I know that I have a Patreon Discord that I can invite you to for sure. Where Patreons are able to chat and everything like that. So I'll make sure that I get you added to that. I'm sorry if I didn't do that already. But yeah. Destiny, anything else going on within your world of horror? Because outside of The Hills Have Eyes, we watched Pitch Perfect and Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, which are both comedies. So,
Yeah, I mean, every movie that I watched, it was a rewatch, but I love all these movies, and so that's the reason why we watched them. But The Hills Have Eyes, it's probably my favorite remake. I think it is far superior to the original, honestly. Malignant, great movie, saw it in theaters. It was a lot of fun. And then Creep 2, like you said, I love Creep and Creep 2. I probably like the first one better because I like the sort of not knowing aspect. And in the second one, you fully know what's going on. And they switch it up a little bit, which I do like that as well because it goes at an angle that I wasn't expecting. So it's the same, but it's different, which I do like that. And I hope that they do make a third one. I know they've been talking about it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the way this one ends off, you can perfectly set up a sequel so that follows some characters. So, yeah, love all three movies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that they should make a third one. I think that it would still do really well. Hopefully one day we see it, but yeah, hopefully it's like one of those days though, like where, because I know found footage isn't necessarily as popular as it like was like back when Paranormal Activity was coming out or Grave Encounters or all that stuff. But hopefully like one day they see it and they're like, you know what, we definitely need to get this movie out, and they end up doing it. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But you said nothing else really going on, right? Like,
no.
Yeah. Well, that's all right because we're 13 minutes in, which means that we are officially going to start talking about our trip to Universal's Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. We went to Universal Studios in California. This was Destiny's first trip ever to Universal. So what we had done is we did the Friday night, we did just the Halloween Horror Nights, and we got the Universal Express Unlimited, so we were able to go through the houses as many times as we wanted. And then on Saturday, we did the 2 p.m. entry into the park, and then you get a wristband, and then you could stay in the park and start early access for Halloween Horror Nights, which was definitely very much worth it. Both nights, I should say. And the reason that we did the 2 p.m. entry was so that she could see Universal, the theme park, during the day. And I thought that that was the most logical because I'm like, okay, well, that's cool that she's going for Halloween Horror Nights. And obviously we're both big horror fans, but she also needed to experience the studio tour and which you did like, right? Yeah. But Des, tell us about your thoughts. I'm not going to speak for you. I want to hear your thoughts on Universal and just your experience as a whole. So,
well, like you said, it was my first time. It was my first time going to California ever. So it was a weekend full of first, things, but it was so cool because I've only been to Disney once, and that was in Florida. So that's the only like sort of really big theme park I've been to, and I only went for one day. And so we only went to one part of Disney. Mm-hmm. So this is like my first time, doing sort of like a longer thing. And then my first time doing Halloween Horror Nights, which was crazy walking into, because the first thing that I wanted was to smell the fog, which you smell as you're walking up, because that's what everyone always talks about is the fog smell. And I was like, I have to know what this smells like. So, which you get that as soon as you walk in. And immediately it's pretty overstimulating. There's people everywhere. You have fire shooting out. You have the fog everywhere. There's a lot of noises, a lot of different smells going on at once. So it is pretty overwhelming, especially because like I get super weird in crowds. I don't like it. But after time, I like eased into it and it was fine. Didn't like the escalators. They made me feel like I was going to fall off. So those are pretty scary, not gonna lie. But the actual houses themselves, it was insane to walk into, especially because I love Stranger Things, especially season 4. And this was like the main reason I wanted to go was for this house. But seeing all the attention to detail in every house was insane, which I knew that's how it was going to be. I've seen walkthrough videos. So I knew like what I was expecting, but then actually seeing it in person, it's even crazier because the amount of details, like it's so much that you can't even look at everything. And I screamed so much, and it was so much fun. I got so scared so many times, but it's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be like freaking the fuck out, and I did so many times. So it was great. It was a blast, and I cannot wait to go again.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that every year the thing that you talked about right in the beginning is the fog. Just like, you know, because like you smell fog machines and you smell like that stuff during Halloween time and everything. But Halloween Horror Nights, just like it's like when you walk into a Starbucks or you have a Starbucks coffee, it's got like the distinct taste that makes Starbucks stand out from like if you're a big Starbucks fan or whatever your coffee of choice is, wherever you get it from. Like you have that taste in your mouth and you're like, nothing beats that. And in my opinion, that's how it is with Halloween Horror Nights. It is by far my favorite Halloween event that I have ever been to. And I think that every year they go all out. They do such a damn good job. I can't recommend it enough. But you definitely do not want to do this without Universal Express. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, the fog smell, holy shit, dude. Like you smell that and you're just like, yes, like, you know, this is awesome. And it's got its own like little smell. But yeah, you do not, unless you have a multi-ticket, you know, multi-night ticket or something. If you do general admission, that's fine. But again, if you're doing this for a couple nights to make sure that you do everything, or you just have to be smart and plan out your night. Like you got to get there as early as you can to start, you know, doing it. And the way that you should do it is kind of exactly how Des and I did it. Now, Des and I had Universal Express, but you should always start in the lower lot because those houses open sooner. So you do those houses and then you make your way up. So you should always approach this with a plan. And I was like, literally on the car ride there, I was telling you, I'm like, okay, so what's our plan? Like we did it 5 hours out, we did it 3 hours out, and we did it 1 hour out. We're like, okay, our plan is to get there. We're doing the lower lot first. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do everything in the lower lot. Then we're going to go up and do the upper lot. And so we had our game plan. So if you're doing this, you definitely want to have a game plan before you get to the park. So that way you know where you're heading first. And the first house we did, of course, was Stranger Things. And, you know, we're going to talk about each of the houses, though, based on our ranking. We're not going to talk about them now, but just a general thoughts and everything like that, man, is Halloween Horror Nights is seriously an insane event. I don't know how they pull it off every year. I truly don't. And the creative team at Hollywood and Orlando, because I know Orlando is obviously part of it as well, but the creative team, the actors, everybody that's involved with bringing this freaking beast of an event to life. Seriously, my hats off goes to you guys because fuck, it's I don't know how they do it with all these guests like that attend, and it was completely sold out. Both nights that we went, completely sold out. Like they even had the sign outside, like as we were turning in, and it said tonight's event is completely sold out or whatever. I was like, dude. So yeah, hats off to the creative team and everything.
What you said.
Yeah. But this year, house-wise, we saw 8 haunted houses at Universal Studios Hollywood for Halloween Horror Nights. And those houses were Stranger Things, The Last of Us, The Exorcist Believer, Evil Dead Rise, Chucky Ultimate Kill Count. We saw Monstros, The Monsters of Latin America, Universal Monsters Unmasked, and Holidays in Hell. Those make up the 8 official haunted houses of Hollywood's Halloween Horror Nights. And then on top of that, we also had the Terror Tram, which this year's theme was a bug infestation, and it was called the Exterminators. So those were the 9 big things that you can do maze-wise. And outside of the mazes, You've got the exhilarating rides and attractions that are also open at night for Halloween Horror Nights, which was actually a surprise to Destiny. Not only because were the rides open, because like when I asked her, we did the 2 houses, we did Stranger Things and The Last of Us to start. And I told her, she's like, okay, what are we doing now? And I was like, you want to go on a few rides first and then do the other 2 houses that are down here? And you were like, wait, the rides are open? I was like, yeah, like the rides are open during Halloween Horror Nights. At least what she didn't know, their larger exhilarating rides are open during Halloween Horror Nights. So what did you think, Des, of some of the rides? I'm curious to hear your thoughts as you explain to the audience what you thought.
Okay, well, the first ride that we did was Jurassic World, which was fucking terrifying, and I didn't realize how scary it was going to be because I don't like rides or like fast rides. I don't like roller coasters. That is not my thing whatsoever. So we do Jurassic World. He had once told me there was a drop. Still, I don't think you made it. It's a lot worse than what you made it seem, okay? And so we go through that, and I'm like literally frozen. I'm stuck because I'm scared. And then I didn't talk to him because I was mad. And then, like a 1-2 freaking punch, he said, let's do the Mummy. I said, okay, why not? I'm already mad. And here's my thing. I didn't fucking know the Mummy was a roller coaster. I thought it was a ride. And all I got from this motherfucker was a hold on tight. And then all of a sudden, everywhere. Oh my God. And I shut down completely like this, like I do whenever I can't handle situations like that. So I was tricked and I was fooled and I was bamboozled. And I did not appreciate it. And I was even more mad afterwards. I got over it, but it was fucking scary and I did not like it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, but hey, she did. I was proud of her, man. She did all of the rides the whole weekend. And I mean, granted, yeah, she didn't know, but she wouldn't have done the Mummy if she knew it was a roller coaster. But she did say though that next time we go, we would have to start with it. But it's not like a terrible height roller coaster or anything like that. It's not like a freaking gigantic roller coaster. So, you know, like, I mean, it's one of those that's good enough, like, for if you're just like, you know, looking to get your thrill on. It's one of those that you can do. But she did Jurassic World twice willingly. The second night she did Jurassic World, she was like, you're not wanting to do any of the rides, right? I was like, well, I mean, we have the express pass, right? We might as well do what we can. And so we did do Jurassic World the second night, which she went on, and you had a lot more fun on the second time you rode it, right?
Yeah, and I told myself I'd keep my eyes open this time because my eyes were closed. Again, you couldn't really see me because I'm like completely covered. And this time I kept my eyes open. And it was hard because I wanted to shut them so bad, but I did keep them open. It was a lot more fun this time. It's still fucking scary though. Like, it's not that fast when it comes to the drop, but the way it launches you forward so fast is scary. And I don't like that feeling in my stomach. But I would do it again. Yeah.
And hey, I wish so badly I would have gotten the picture of Des because on the drop on Jurassic World's one of my favorite rides there. It's actually, I think it goes Jurassic World and the Mummy are like my 2 favorite rides there. And then obviously the studio tour, which is just fucking awesome in itself. But yeah, that like Des was literally like her eyes wide open. I think the widest, like you think that they get wide on the show when shit happens on my end. But they were like almost popping out of her damn head. Like
they were wide, but my face was like this, like that, because I couldn't get, like I was trying so hard to keep everything. But it was still fun. But I didn't like the freaking, you know, the whole trickery of it.
Got a coaster enthusiast with Brandon. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Got some good stories out of it.
Absolutely, we did. So, you know, that's awesome. The Hatchet Boys, what's going on? Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. Okay, so now that we've talked about the rides and everything, all right, it is time to get into our maze ranking for Halloween Horror Nights 2023 at Universal Studios Hollywood. Did you did remember to put the Terror Tram involved, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just making sure. Okay, so we're gonna go as we always do our rankings. We're gonna go from the worst to the best. So we've got 9 of them to get through with the Terror Tram included. So Des, go ahead and kick us off. What was your least favorite house at Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood in 2023?
Well, I'm going to go with the Terror Tram and not. So I'm going to go with the Terror Tram, but just strictly for the theme. Getting out and walking around and everything. And of course, you know, you get all the us characters, all the tethered walking around, and you're walking through Jupiter's Claim. That part I absolutely loved. But the theme itself, the whole bug thing, I just didn't think it was that good.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, it wasn't that scary. The tethered people got me more than any of the like bug people. They scared me a lot more, and that whole section of it was awesome. But the bug theme itself, I didn't care for. And Larry the larva, whatever,
Larry
he was
Larva.
just nasty, but not like scary, just like gross. And I want to be like creeped out because I'm scared and unsettled, not because I'm like grossed out. I don't like that.
Okay. All right. Is that all you have to say for
Yes.
the Terror Tram? Okay, gotcha. All right. My least favorite by far this year, and I've heard this one was good at Universal Orlando, but this one left me a little bit disappointed, actually very disappointed, being it's at the bottom of my list, and that is Universal Monsters Unmasked. Okay. I've loved the last couple of years that they did with Universal Monsters. In fact, a couple of years ago, Bride of Frankenstein Lives was one of my like top 3 houses of 2021. Legends Collide was in my like top 4 of last year. I love the Universal Monster houses. This year, though, it did fall flat for me. I gotta say, it didn't really land. Now the sets were all awesome, but I think a part of it too is both times Des and I went through is both times or 2 times, and I feel like the scares were just not there. So, you know, that could be a reason. But yeah, Universal Monsters Unmasked kind of fell flat for me. It was nice to see that they were giving some love to some of the other monsters that normally don't get a whole lot of time to shine. But yeah, this one just unfortunately fell flat for me.
Yep. My number 8 is also Universal Monsters Unmasked. For everything you said, I feel like the scares aren't really there. There might have been a couple times it got me in like the corners, but overall, even like the sets themselves, like I just didn't care for it. Like there was nothing besides, I think, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because I do like that story. Besides that, everyone else, like nothing stood out to me. And it just felt like underwhelming. There was just like, and the wait line for it was so crazy to see. And then walking through, I was like, oh my God, I'd be upset if I waited that long and I walked through this, because it's just not what I was really expecting either. Because I was expecting the more traditional monsters, because I didn't really look and see which ones were there.
Mm-hmm.
But I was expecting, you know, like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. So walking through, I was like, oh, this is not what I thought at all. And then at one point, I didn't even recognize the Invisible Man. I was just like, what even was that? But it's because I feel like they could have used that better. And I don't know how you would, because he's invisible, but I don't know. Just like a little screen. I was just like, oh, okay. But yeah. So it was quite underwhelming, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately it was. I remember when that was announced too. I sent Destiny, like I was like, oh my God, like they have a Universal Monsters house. Like I was really excited actually. So maybe next year's will be a little bit better. I'm sure that they're going to continue to do that. But anyway, we got Holidays in Hell is number 8 for me. I did like a lot of the holiday stuff that you got to go through. The Halloween room is definitely like easily my favorite. Like you walk in and they've got like these 3 giant pumpkin things, and then this the I'm trying to think what house was it. If it was Monstrose with the giant pumpkin mouth that you walk through, or if it was Holidays in Hell. I think it was Holidays in Hell.
No.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah.
Well, because Monstrose has the big sack or whatever that you walk through. So, okay. So, yeah, Holidays in Hell was definitely, it had some good elements, but again, the scare factor for me just didn't hit as much as I wanted it to. But all of the rooms were cool. There was one room with a very just like, it was the dinner party room. Like, I was like, oh my God, that is gross. That is disgusting. Because you could just like literally, you get the food smell and everything. It was like walking through a freaking oven, just like as you're walking through it. But yeah, Holidays in Hell. I didn't go to Hollywood in 2019, so I don't remember. Or I don't know what that house was like, but I know Antanas was saying that was a house in 2019. So they brought that one back this year. But I was hoping for it to be a little bit better. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, Holidays in Hell comes in at number 8 for me.
My number 7 is Holidays in Hell. For everything you just said, all the different sets were pretty cool. And I love seeing like a New Year's Eve thing. That was the first thing that you saw when you walked in because that is my birthday. So it was just cool to see that. But my favorite part was definitely the Halloween section. Even though when you walk through and you see like a line of people and they're dressed like, you obviously know some of these people are going to be like actual actors and the rest are mannequins. Even though I knew that, they still got me, and they got me 3 different times, like in a row. They kept jumping out and they did it in a row to where it got me every single time. So that was definitely the best house. The Thanksgiving room, like you're saying, it smelled so bad. And that is something I wasn't expecting with a lot of these houses is they like put that smell into it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a good smell, awesome. When it's a bad smell, oh God, it's so strong. So the Thanksgiving room definitely smelled really bad. You had to breathe out your mouth for that one. But then you got the Christmas room right after, which I loved because it smelled like Christmas time.
Yeah.
But besides the Halloween section, the rest of the houses weren't that, or the rest of the segments of the house weren't that scary, except for maybe the leprechaun one. I think a leprechaun did get me one night. So even that was cool to see like a little St. Patrick's Day little area. But overall, though, besides the Halloween part, the rest of it was a little bit, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. The Hatchet Boy says, do they still got the Jaws ride? So they do have the Jaws segment on the studio tour, which is technically like the Jaws ride. Like they pull up in Hollywood, they have like the tram that comes up and you go through Amity and it's kind of like the Jaws ride from Orlando. Orlando no longer has the Jaws ride or anything like that. That was taken down and replaced by Diagon Alley for Harry Potter and all that stuff. So they took that out back when they were doing that in the 2010s at some point. But yeah, in Hollywood, you could still experience the Jaws element of it at least, and it's still a lot of fun. That was Des. Tell them about what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. I was really excited to do the whole like studio tour, but the Jaws part, that was the section I was most looking forward to because Jaws is one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen videos of how it plays out and stuff, and we've talked about it. So like I knew exactly what I was expecting, but it was just so cool just to be in Amityville just for like a minute and to see the shark jump out. And you feel that
Amity
heat
Island.
When it's freaking burning. Huh?
I said Amity Island. You said Amityville.
Oh. wrong place.
I just wanted to correct you on that really quickly. So
I thought you said Billie Eilish at first, and I was really confused. I was like,
no.
What does she have to do with it? But yeah, that was awesome. That was definitely my favorite part of the studio tour.
Yeah. Brandon's asking, speaking of Thanksgiving, are you guys excited for Eli Roth's Thanksgiving slasher? That is now, I think, my most anticipated movie, horror movie of the remainder of this year. I think that quickly shot up to number 1 as soon as I saw that trailer, honestly. I think that don't get me wrong, guys. I'm excited for Saw next week, and I'm excited for Exorcist and all that stuff. But well, I'm keeping my expectations moderate. Des is more excited about Exorcist than I am, but you know, nonetheless, I am a little excited for it. But Thanksgiving shot up quickly to number 1 on my list, so I did very much enjoy that. Enjoy the trailer at least. Des?
I'm excited for it.
Heck yeah.
It looks like a good little time. And it's fun to have another holiday slasher. I love holiday slashers, no matter what holiday it is. So to get a new one, and I'm really excited to see Addison Rae in it because like she's acting in a couple things. Not a horror movie yet. She's known for TikTok, but there's that part where she's in the trailer where she's screaming, and I was like, I think she's gonna be really good, and I think I think I'm gonna really like her in the movie. So I'm really excited to see her in her part. So I'm really excited for this though.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm excited for it as well. Brettman is asking Jaws for Cali or Orlando or both. Jaws is in California. You could do that as part of the studio tour. Orlando, they took it out. Now in Orlando, you could, at least the last time I was there, which was just 2 years ago. So you could get a picture with the shark that's like hanging or whatever. Like you can like put your head in its mouth, and they still did keep that, but and they also have that. Destiny pointed that out on the studio tour, actually, like the shark that was hanging or whatever. You're like, oh my god, I didn't even realize that. That's what's in Orlando is that thing. So yeah, but on the studio tour, you could experience the Jaws ride. Okay, let me do my number 7, and then we'll jump into. Let me do a few more here, and then we'll do a few more questions. Okay, so we've got number 7 for me was Terror Tram. I didn't hate the Terror Tram. I remember being I remember being excited for it. I was definitely more excited for it than Destiny was. She was just like, that's just such an odd theme or whatever. And last year when they announced the Terror Tram, it was called Terror Tram featuring Jordan Peele's Nope and Us. But what they did this year is they kept the Nope and Us element. And what they did, like Destiny was saying when she was talking about the Terror Tram, is they put the tethered in Jupiter's Claim. And that was super fun to walk around and everything like that at night and see this, like, the sound effects of that, you know, UFO flying over and the tethered all stop and look up at the sky. And that was really cool. But the theme, I didn't hate the theme, but I just didn't love the theme. But I still thought it was cool. The sets were still cool. One of my favorite parts of this Terror Tram is you get a chance to do your photo op with Norman Bates, which is now one of Des and I's, one of my favorite photos of the two of us. I love that damn photo. So, you know, but yeah, that's just a ton of fun to get off and have the experience to actually, because on the studio tour, it's like you go through some of it so fast that it's like now you actually have the chance to walk around and see it on foot. Like you get to go through the War of the Worlds set at night, and you literally are walking right by that freaking 747 aircraft that's like all broken into pieces. And it's just really cool. So, yeah, in terms of the theme, not that great, but I love the walk at night. And I mean, I think there was actually one thing that got you. And it was like when that guy was like, or was it the girl behind us or whatever? Like this guy, like he like ran like right down and he like moved the sheet and he was like right there. Or did that?
Oh yeah, like in the fence, because I didn't know I didn't realize you can get through the fence right there, and that's exactly what happened. So that did get me. And one of the tether got me because they ran right up into my, like right here.
Yeah.
So they got me too. But like you said, that part was so cool. And with when Jean Jacket shows up and everything dies down and noticing all of them looking up. Like I was talking to my friend Jessica about it at work, and like I'm telling her, and she has like goosebumps. She's like, I probably would have been like so freaked out. I'm like, it is like creepy. Like that was unsettling. Like that part was actually like, oh fuck. Because like even though you know they're acting, but for that second, it feels real. It feels like these people are like actually like gone. So that part was awesome.
No, absolutely. But I also do like how, like, on the terror tram, like how you pull up and Larry Larva was standing like right there, and then they had all those bugs coming around with the chainsaws and everything, just chasing everybody. That was kind of cool. It was a fun start, and then you just get a chance to walk through. Now, obviously, we walked through a spider section. Not a fan of that, but hey, whatever.
There could have been more spiders.
Could have been correct. All right. What are we on? Number 6?
Yes.
All right. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Evil Dead Rise, which was a little bit disappointing because I was really looking forward to this one, especially because we had this one and Orlando didn't. So I was texting Mia about it because she was at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando the same night we were there that Saturday. But even she said she watched a walkthrough and she's like, it didn't seem like it was like that great. And it did kind of feel like a little bit like, I don't want to say rushed, but some of the parts of the sets, even though like the movie, some of it's plain, I feel like they could have done more with some parts of it. But there's some really cool moments from the movies. The elevator part was really cool. The fake blood on the ground was really cool. The wigs for the Deadite mom were really bad. That was something I did complain about because they looked like they were like fire engine red when her hair's not that color red, and so it made it look so fake. Hello? Whatever. Anyways, made it look super fake, and so I didn't like that part, but besides that, it was fun.
I have no idea what just happened. I think I clicked something on my mouse or whatever, and it just like backed me out. Sorry, everyone. Go on. Sorry.
Anyways, but yeah, I felt like some parts could have been a little bit better. Like the first thing you see, you're like in this kind of like room that's kind of weird. Like it just seems like you're just walking through this like building, and they have Evil Dead Rise with a projector screen on the wall, and I feel like that was just like a little bit, not like a bad sign, but I was just like, oh man, like that already feels like kind of like, I don't want to say lazy, but in compared to like a lot of stuff we saw a little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But some moments definitely still got me. They incorporated some of the really cool scenes. I know, right? That's what I thought. They no cheese grater. I complained that there wasn't enough cheese grater in the movie, and now we get no cheese grater whatsoever. Pretty crazy. But we did get some broken glass, which was good. And yeah, it did get me quite a few times. I did scream a good amount of time. So that's why it's sort of like in the middle. I didn't hate it. It was just a little bit of a letdown because the movie had so many cool moments. But oh well.
Yeah. Evil Dead Rise is also my number 6 as well. I thought that this was the only logical spot for it. Just kind of like what Des was saying, that like the sets were all very well constructed and very well put together. I mean, literally the apartment rooms that they did were essentially spot on, and it was just really cool to like walk through. But it more just felt like you were walking through with like no, like there was a whole bunch of shit going on with the noise and everything, but it was like almost just something like you'd see at like the basic Warner Brothers studio tour. Like you're just essentially like walking through, and there's not really, I don't think that they put enough scares in this house, which is like one of like my big things, because when you're walking through a haunted house, you want to get scared, right? Like you want to be able to jump and scream and everything. So I think that again, the sets were all very well put together. Destiny did point out, and I'm glad she did, because I was thinking the same thing too. There's like the first light that shines on the mother from Evil Dead Rise, like looked nothing like her. I was just like, the fuck. I was like,
Oh yeah, and it's like a super small complaint, but the first thing I noticed when I saw her was she was wearing a long sleeve shirt when she wears a short sleeve in the movie, and I was like, that's such a small detail, but I was just like, oh come on, man. So like the wig on top of the long, and I don't think they were all long sleeves, so it was just like those are more smaller complaints, like, oh, the wig didn't look good, whatever. But when a lot of this is so accurate, and these are supposed to be like your people, and like she's the mother Deadite, like she is the main character, and she's like what took over for this movie. So you want these to be more accurate, and when they're not, it's a little bit like jarring. It takes me out of it that it looks so off, and not even that. Like, of course, I'm not expecting them to look like her, like actually, but like a different wig and a short sleeve shirt, and it would have, I think, it wouldn't have been so like, oh, whoa. But and there's only like one sort of like cast mold that actually looked like her from the movie, and it was with one of the end things we see in the movie, and that was the only thing that actually looked like her. So that was a little bit just like but everything else, like you said, was pretty cool. And the scares when they popped out of the door, that's what got me, where when they would open the door and run out really fast. But
Yeah.
the rest of it was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that was number 6, right? Were we on number 5? All right.
Yeah.
What is your number 5?
My number 5 is The Exorcist. And this one, I was really curious to see, just because the movie hasn't even come out yet, and we're walking through a house for this movie. And we're talking about if like some of this would be spoilers, and it does look like a little bit of it is spoilery, but not like too much. But we won't know until we see the movie. But again, some of the sets felt like a little bit not like half-handed together, but some of it would just be like some crown drawings like on the wall, like with papers, which could be a big part of the movie. I don't know. But some of it, compared to seeing all these crazy sets, I was like, oh, okay. But there was this really cool part with this like window thing to where it's completely covered, and then it flashes again, and you can see the actors like walking back, and they're playing the little girls. And there was quite a few demons that scared me. One got me twice. One got me from the front angle and then went to the side and got me again. So I did get scared quite a lot our second and third time going to this one. Not so much the first time, but with each time we went, it moved up because it just got better and better. And there's one part in a barn, and oh my God, like I said earlier with the smells, it smelled so bad. Luckily, it was just a small section, but it smelled so bad. But it made you feel like you're really there, so it's doing its job. But it was better than I was expecting. I actually really enjoyed it, especially the second and third time we went.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's my number 5 on my list as well, as Exorcist Believer. It was like that just flip-flopped with Exorcist and Evil Dead, because I initially had those two switched, but having gone through Exorcist, we did that twice on our second night, and the both times on Saturday, like it got me a couple times too. Like, I mean, Destiny is definitely more of the screamer, right, between the two of us. So, like, and that is definitely like, she was like, yeah, you don't really scream that much. I'm like, well, no, I walk through and I get like, I'm like, oh, like, but that's about it. Like her, it's just like a scare gets her on one side, and then like there's like another big jolt like on the other, and then she's jumping again. So yeah, it's but that's what, like, that's fun, right? But for me, it's like, if she's screaming, I'm jolting right here, and then if something else comes out, I'm just jolting again, and that's it. So okay, all right, y'all. Okay, that's I knew someone was gonna say it too. I knew someone was gonna bring it.
As soon as you said it, I was like,
God damn, yeah, literally. I was like, you know what? I definitely was thinking for a second. I was like, you know what? And because I almost commented on it too. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I said that wrong. I was thinking that maybe the audience, but I know our audience. I know the people, right? Yeah, Rosie, thank you. We know you went there. So thank you for that. But yeah, in a haunted house, I mean, Destiny is definitely more. Yeah, okay, I'm just not gonna say it again.
Don't dig yourself deeper. Just move along.
Yeah, so there you go. See, so Brettman knew what I was talking about. Jolting, right? Like, I'm jolting, she's screaming. But
For the love of God. Stop talking.
all right, I'm done. That's it. But yes, Exorcist Believer, solid house. And I think that it's placed rightfully so on the ranking list. And I do think that it does have a couple of light spoilers. Especially because like when we were seeing The Nun, we saw the new trailer as well. And there were some things that we were able to pick up on from the trailer that was in the house. So I was like, actually, I mean, hats off to them for putting that house together when the movie wasn't even going to be out yet. So that's really cool that they did that. So
I agree.
yeah.
All right. Number 4. And this one is this high, and not even for the scare factor, because I don't think I got scared once in this house, but it is Chucky, the Ultimate Kill Count. And it's simply because of the sets, because the sets were absolutely amazing. And when they said Ultimate Kill Count, I wasn't, for some reason, thinking it would be throughout like a lot throughout the whole franchise. I thought it would just be from the show, but they had so many segments from throughout all of the Chucky movies, really. Which was really cool because you got to see Tiffany, you got to see Glenda, you got to see like Jennifer Tilly's character, just as Tiffany with the tub. So there were so many awesome moments, and it was more just walking through and just being like impressed by all the different sets. It wasn't scary, but the attention to detail was amazing. It was so much fun. So I really liked that part of the Chucky or the sets.
No, absolutely. Before I get into my number 4, want to say hello to Horror and Coffee. Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. If you've been to Halloween Horror Nights, let us know what your thoughts are. But let's see here. Quick story before I give my number 4. But before we went into Chucky, we did the Universal Monsters because they're literally right next to each other. So there's Chucky, Ultimate Kill Count, and then Universal Monsters. Now, the reason that we thought we hated Universal Monsters was because we went through and we were fucking starving. Like, we needed, like, blood sugar levels. Like, we drove 5 hours to get there in the afternoon on Friday. We didn't eat anything. Neither of us were hungry. So, like, we got there, we started doing stuff. We were walking around and everything. After we got out of Universal Monsters, we were like, dude, if we don't eat something, we're going to pass out. And so we got a pretzel, and Destiny hates on me because I got a pretzel without salt. I thought that you liked just the regular pretzel, so I don't know why. But yeah, I got a pretzel without salt.
The flavor.
Okay, well, there you go. Now I know for next time. Won't happen again. Jeez.
I got the pretzel with no salt and the worst cheese dip I've ever had in my life. It was so nasty. It had the consistency of bean dip, which I also don't like. So, but it did its job. We were fine after that. We definitely needed it. And we were able to, because I was like, there's no way I can stand in more lines. Yeah. With this many people, and it's hot, and it's hot, and then it's cold, and it's hot, and it's cold. So it's like you're constantly changing temperatures. It's like if I don't have something, you're gonna find me on this ground, and it's not gonna be good.
No, so we took like a quick 15-minute break. We sat down. We were just people watching. We were just watching people walk back and forth and eating our non-salted pretzel. with actually the worst cheese that I think that we could have gotten. It was like just even the texture right now I'm thinking about it is just it's gross. Yeah, and then we each got a Sprite to give us our sugar back, and dude, we got up and it was like 10:30 at night and we're like, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're back in it.
We were back in it. Take your guys' breaks if you guys go. Seriously. Sit down for like 10 minutes, have a snack, enjoy it, and go because you're going to need it. But then we did Chucky. Chucky is also my number 4. I think that Chucky Ultimate Kill Count is a very just fun haunted house, dude. Like it literally, like you're walking into the good guy factory, like you kind of come around the corner and some of the boxes are actually alive. So there's like a projection of him like in it and he's like talking as you're walking in, which is really cool. And then you get in and you're in the good guy factory, which is just awesome. So yeah, I saw Antanas saying, where's your comment about here's Tiffany's bathtub death scene is my favorite death in the franchise, so it was a dream come true to see it in the maze. Yeah, the bathtub scene was really freaking cool. There's really a lot of scenes that are just really awesome, like in this house. I also like how Chucky is literally counting his kills as, like, you know, you're going from room to room. Like, he'll be on a monitor and say, let's see what we could do next, and like you'll go into like the next room, and it was just really really awesome to see. So it's not very much scary, especially like if, like, you know, you're a fan of these movies and you know essentially what they are. Now Chucky, I mean, he could be scary for sure, but I think that the house was just a lot more fun than scary. I think there's like one, I think it got each of us one time. It, like, I think, but because we did it Friday and Saturday, I think it got you Friday and it got me like one time on Saturday or some shit. But yeah, other than that,
the guy with the eyeballs.
Yeah,
he did get me at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happened, and yeah, but Chucky Ultimate Kill Count is a great house. I think that the detail in it is great, and it's just a fun house. So if you guys like that, and you guys are fans of Chucky, you guys are gonna love this house. So,
all right, my number 3, which was the biggest surprise for me, which was the Monsters of Latin America, because Braden sent me the theme, and I was excited for all the IPs. Those were the things I was most excited for. So this, I was like, oh, like, okay, that's cool. But the sort of more like original ideas, I was not, as, freaking out about. But going to this one, it got me so many times. I was not expecting it. It was definitely one of the scarier houses, surprisingly. And again, there was a segment of the house, a room that smelled so fucking bad. I was gagging. And then as I was gagging, someone jumped out and scared the fuck out of me. So the people that just stand in there and to direct you where to go, if you work in the houses where it stinks, you deserve to be compensated, because that was fucking awful. It was so bad because it was like a pig cut open, so it's supposed to smell like rotten meat, and it did. It was so nasty, but it got me so many times. I was so surprised. Walking out, I was just like, oh my God, that was so good. So that's my number 3. I was so surprised to have, like more of an original idea so high, but they did so good with that one.
yeah, I'll give my thoughts on that in a second, but I want you to talk more about this house, and so we could have like more of a conversation, because my number 3 was Stranger Things. So, and I'm guessing, I don't know where that's, if that's your 1 or 2 or whatnot, but is that your number 2? Okay, so let's just talk about the Stranger Things house. So, and I want you to give your thoughts on the Stranger Things house. Guys, this was Destiny's most anticipated house of Halloween Horror Nights 2023. So, Des, what were your thoughts on Stranger Things?
Well, it is my number 2, which means something did beat it. Unfortunately for me, really, because so this was the first house we did, because it is the one that really got me out there in the first place. When Stranger Things season 4, when it was announced, I was like, okay, I have to go. Like, everything else was cool, but this, I was like, I have to go. And so it's the first house we did. Granted, the first night we went through, or the first time we went through, you hear Eddie's voice because you start out in his trailer and you hear his voice like talking to Chrissy, and you hear Chrissy screaming. But going through, I was like, where the fuck was Eddie? Like, he plays such a big part of this whole season and we didn't see him. So I was like bummed out, and that kind of brought it down a little bit for me. And also, unfortunately, the first time we went, the scares were hitting for the people in front of us and not so much for us. So I'm seeing the scares happen, but I'm not necessarily getting scared. And when you see where they're coming, it'll still get you probably. Like, it would still get me, but when you're really like knowing exactly where they're coming from, it kind of defeats the whole scare factor a little bit. So walking out of the first house, I was a little bit disappointed the first time, because I was like, wow, I waited, all this time, and I was so excited. And for the first walkthrough, even though the sets were amazing, and you get a lot of different Vecnas, which is really cool, but mainly because I didn't see Eddie. I was like, oh, okay. But then when we went the second time, or was it
was
the
the
next
second one.
night?
No, it was the second time because we did that and one other house twice that night.
So the second time, though, what I did not realize is when you walk into Eddie's trailer, he's right there in the closet and he pops out. And we just completely missed him. So when he jumped out, I was not scared whatsoever. I was screaming, oh my God, it's Eddie. And he went back in the closet. I was just like, no, come back. But we got to see him. And then I feel like the scares were hitting that time. The Steve actor scared the fuck out of me.
Twice.
And I knew where he was coming, and he got me so good every single, except for the last time, on Saturday, because I was like watching. I was like, I know you are in there. So he didn't give me that time. But the 2 times in between that, oh my God, fucking terrifying. But yeah, it was definitely a lot better the second time, mainly because I got to see Eddie. The scares were actually hitting us. We got to see one of the Max characters. We didn't see her the first night, only Lucas, and even that part was really cool. I like that whole part with Max and Lucas. But we got to see her, all the like Vecnas and all the 11s and the Chrissies. There's one that did scare me the first time going through. And again, the attention to detail, it was insane. So my second house, because there's key moments of the seasons that I feel like they could have done. There was no running up that hill, which was kind of crazy. And I don't even remember hearing it walking around at all. And I only heard Master of Puppets the second night. I didn't even hear it at all that first night, which was, again, weird because they're playing the soundtrack. But those key songs in these key moments weren't really included in the house where I thought they would be because they were so big within the season. So that was another part that was a little bit disappointing, which I just felt like some of the parts that they chose, they could have been bigger parts and like more important parts to the story. But still, it was fucking Stranger Things. It was like a dream come true. I got to live in a part of Stranger Things for like 3 minutes, and I still loved it.
Yeah. I'll talk a little bit about it really quickly here because it's my number 3. So then do you want me to do 3 and 2 then? And then we could do number 1. Okay. So, yeah, I think that the house, the details were great. It was obviously the first house of the night that we did. And it was so fun to see her reaction right away because as soon as we walked in and like literally like the set of Chrissy's trailer is like right in front
Eddie's
of you.
trailer.
It's Eddie's trailer. I'm sorry. I forget that I thought it was Chrissy's. My bad. Sorry, Eddie's trailer. We see Eddie's trailer, and we see or we could hear, like, we hear the Chrissy, wake up, and she's like, oh my God, it's Eddie. Like, so that's playing as like we're in line. It's super loud in there. And like, just again, it was just super cool to see right away. But they have like the sign of the trailer park and the trailers like right there. So that's the first thing that you walk into, and you walk in and you just see the set design. And you're like, dude, this is just fucking insane. Like, this is so crazy. And one of my favorite things that we got to see was the Creole house that we got a chance to see and actually walk into. So that was really freaking cool too. But yeah, the sets in Stranger Things was great. The scare factor could have been up a lot more. I went one of the years that they did Stranger Things for season 2. And I went to Orlando, and their scare factor was actually really good for it. So I was really excited. And then the scare factor was kind of a letdown, but guys, it's fucking Stranger Things. I mean, the sets were awesome. Just looking around and seeing everything was awesome. Yeah, I liked it a lot. So number 3 for me. And
yeah.
Number 2 for you.
And also there wasn't like a lot of the main characters either, which I thought was a little bit weird. I felt, even though like I don't know where you could have put them per se for what they were showing, but they only had like maybe 4 or 5 of the characters, which is kind of crazy, but everything else was still really good.
Yeah. Yes, it did, Brandon. It made me feel like I was genuinely there, like, walking in. So
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really cool. Anything else you want to say about Stranger Things, Des? The maze?
Oh, and the Hawkins lab, that part was also really awesome. That was another big part that you walk through for not like a few rooms, but quite a few turns. You're still in Hawkins lab, which was, again, really fun. It literally felt like you were in this like building because it was so different compared to everything else you're walking through, to where it made it feel like this was real. And like even the effects on like the dead like workers it was really good too. So had great effects, I would say.
Yeah. My number 2 was Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America. This I was super excited for this when they announced this. I was like, okay, this is a really freaking cool idea. And it's an original house. I normally like at least one of their originals. I always try to place, if I could, I always try to place one of their originals within my top, few, because I mean, it's their original houses. But this house was fucking awesome. I'm talking from like the detail to the scares to everything about this house. And yes, there's that room that Des was talking about. And the thing that made it worse is there's actually pigs hanging and you have to like go through them. And I was just like, oh my God. And I think it was the first time we went through it. I was trying to get out so fast because of the smell. And one of the freaking pigs swung and freaking like hit me and got me off balance. I was like, and they were heavy too. I'm like, they're not really making this freaking ideal right now. But yeah, Monstros was a fucking awesome house. Just like from everything about it. I liked all of the rooms, the details. I got scared at least 5 times in it. So yeah, it was a very well put together house. And I'm glad to see, like, even when I'm looking at like some of like the HHN ranking videos that come up on TikTok, I'm really glad to see that it's getting, the love that it deserves, because it truly is one of the best houses of this year. So yes, I love that house. But before we get into our number 1, did you guys try any of the theme HHN food? Of course I did. I got Surfer Boy pizza. Little did I know it was the exact same pizza I got Destiny. Literally, so here's what happened. Okay. Got Surfer Boy pizza. We tried to make modifications because Destiny doesn't eat meat. So I'm ordering and I'm like, can we take off like the pepperoni or something like that? That's literally the only thing that needed to be taken off. They don't have a vegetarian one. Apparently they do in Orlando. They don't in Hollywood, which we both found a little weird. So I get my pizza. And then we literally go into like the cafe that's like right by the Transformers and the Stranger Things houses. And what do you call it? We walk in and they have a cheese pizza in a box. It's literally the exact same pizza. And the reason mine was more expensive was because of the fucking Surfer Boy sticker on it. I was like, that's fucking crazy. that is insane. We're literally sitting there and we're comparing the texture of the pizza. And I'm like, yo, this is the exact same fucking pizza. So that's wild.
Yeah. And they weren't even that good, honestly. But we did also go to Scoops Ahoy and had the upside down shake. And that is the best shake I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite thing when it came to like any food items, was that shake. It was so freaking good. And like, I am terrible at finishing things. This one, I pretty much finished it, besides like the leftover like weird cream, but I pretty much finished that entire thing. It was,
yeah.
I'm still thinking about it.
No, honestly, that shake was fire, straight fire. Like, I mean, and we shared it because it was like there was so much in there that like it was just insane. And they had the chocolate churros in there too, which were actually really good as well. But yeah, that if you guys are going, get the upside down chocolate milkshake, because it's straight fire. So
Yeah.
But let's wrap this up. Obviously we both have the same number 1 house. Destiny, what is it?
The Last of Us, which I did not play the game. So this was kind of like, and Braden is a big fan of the game, so I'm going into this not really knowing too much about it. And I even only watched like the first 2 episodes of the show. And I know some things are a little bit different, but this is like a whole world I'm not super familiar with, like, at all. But this one was the scariest. It got me so many times. One time we went through, one of the scare actors, one of the girls, she scared me twice. And literally, like, the second scream was for no reason. I'm just staring at her. I scream. I stop and I'm looking at her. And then my body just screams again. And literally walking away, I was like, I don't know why I just did that. But it scared me so bad. And I did tell Braden walking out. I can't remember if it was the first time. It might have been the first time. I walked out and I was like, hey, I definitely peed myself a little bit. It wasn't a lot. It was a little bit. But that's how badly it freaking scared me, which is kind of what I wanted. So I was very happy by that, because it was so freaking scary. And again, the smells. There's a part where they're obviously by water and it just smells like swamp water. And it was funny because walking through, I was like, oh, it stinks. And then over the thing, the exact same thing. Oh, it stinks. And I was like, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Because it did smell very bad. But it was so cool. It was so fun. And to see the clickers, I know that was something you were really looking forward to, and I think they executed it perfectly. And there was like this one that was like a radioactive sort of one. It was like this neon orangey color. Scared the shit out of me every single time. Even though I knew that one's coming because this one was different, because it looked different. Scared the fuck out of me every single time. And every time we went through, I was screaming constantly. It was fucking scary, but amazing.
No, absolutely. Before I give my thoughts on The Last of Us house, Brettman, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's see what I want to go with here. You know what?
Where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the super chat. And yes, Des, you got to finish the show. She definitely will before season 2 comes out, but season 2 is going to be
Shut up.
Season 2 is
We were talking about this without going into spoilers.
Shabani, what's up?
Know.
And Mud,
I do know.
Gavin.
And so we're talking about it in line and just talking about it. And even though I'm not even super familiar with it, I was about to start crying in line. My eyes were watering. I was like, we have to stop talking about it because I don't want it. And so now I'm like, why would I want to watch this when I know it's going to be hard? Yeah, this is why I like sitcoms. And even then, a good sitcom episode, it can get emotional. And guess what? I'm fucking crying. So I will watch it. It's the 3rd episode that I'm just like, oh man, because I know I'm going to be sobbing. And that's just what I have to gear myself up for, is the emotional weight the show's going to have on me.
Mm-hmm.
And also, this was like right after Stranger Things, right?
This came out in January this year.
This year. Okay. Oh, I think I was still stuck in Stranger Things mode, though.
Probably, yeah.
But, I can't have too many losses. I can't deal with it. So.
Yeah. But no, the Last of Us, big fan of the games. I like The Last of Us 1 and 2, even though I know 2 got a whole bunch of backlash for basically the reason that Des is very upset about and everything. But I'm a big fan of both of the games. I think that it's great. I think the stories are great. Big fan of the show. Obviously, they did what they could to pay respect while also giving us some new stuff. Like episode 3 was all brand new to the show than it was in the game. But still, huge Last of Us fan. So when this was the first IP that they announced outside of Chucky, legitimately, I lost my fucking mind. I was like, and it was rumored too, but when they announced it, I was like, no fucking way. And the house, I'm happy to say, this was my most anticipated house. I'm so happy to say that it did come in at number 1. Sorry, Des, that Stranger Things took the back seat with number 2 for you. But the Last of Us, man, seriously, the house, the detail, the way that they brought the game to life and really mimicked, like, the heart of it with these rooms. The clickers, fuck, they scared the shit out of me, dude. And I told her that too. I was like, just imagine we're walking through the house and you hear the like, the fucking the clickers. Seriously, I can't praise this house enough. The details and everything. I loved it. And I hope that they do it again in a few years, maybe for the show or something like that. But the show is essentially they have to try to bring the game to life, and that's what they did here. But I'd love to see if, like, after season 2 or something like that, like, comes out, if they did a Last of Us thing again. But I loved this house so freaking much. So yeah, if you guys do go, feel free to message us your guys' house rankings, or put it in. Hopefully all of you guys are following the Fear Freaks group on Facebook. Make sure you guys follow that and post your guys' house rankings if you guys end up going to HHN this year, whether it's Orlando, Hollywood. I saw that, what do you call it? I think it was Brother Fluff. I almost said Flamethrower. I don't know where I was getting that from, but Brother Fluff, I saw that you might be going in a few weeks. If you do, make sure you post your house rankings and stuff like that in the Fear Freaks group so we can see it. Russell, what's going on? Couldn't make it past the first episode of The Last of Us. I get it. It's not for everyone, but I'm a big fan of those zombie and survival games and all that stuff. So yeah, great stuff overall. I did very much enjoy the scare zones. I know Des very much liked the one outside of Monstrous and Evil Dead. We got a couple pictures throughout there. So yeah. Next year we're doing Orlando. Can't wait to go with you guys as well. All right, last question here of the night. Did you guys watch the Chucky season 3 trailer? Devin Sawa is playing the president. You didn't watch the season 3 trailer?
No, because I didn't even watch season 2, the show.
You didn't start season 2?
I watched the first episode.
Oh. I don't know. I have to finish season 2, and season 3 comes out in a couple weeks, so I gotta get caught up here. But yeah, Des, anything else that you'd like to say about Halloween Horror Nights for this episode?
It was so much fun. I cannot wait to do it again. And next year I will have more time to get ready, which I'm looking forward to, so I can take better pictures.
It's all right. Yeah. I was telling Des, I was like, it's so funny because, like, we were just saying we're doing Orlando next year. But I told her, I was like, we're doing that in October. We're probably going to be doing Hollywoods again before we do Orlando, which is crazy, honestly, to me. I'm like, oh, shit, that's a little wild. But, yeah, we are planning on doing this every year. It's an outstanding event. I cannot recommend it enough. But, seriously, go in prepared. You guys are hearing that here. Go in if you guys go in prepared. I can't tell you how many TikToks I've seen today of people that have gone this past weekend and have barely been able to do shit because they didn't plan it accordingly. They just showed up and just, you think that you could do everything, but you very well could do it even with general admission if you just plan it accordingly. That's it. So go in, have a plan, enjoy the shit out of the event because it is freaking very well worth your money. So yeah. Chat, you guys were absolutely outstanding tonight, guys. If you guys are planning on going, I've seen a few of you that have been planning on going. Again, make sure you guys share your guys' thoughts, whether it's on a future Fear Freaks episode or share it in the Fear Freaks group. That's definitely going to be something that we want to hear about. So thank you guys for being awesome. Post your guys' comments down below. Let us know. What do you guys think of Halloween Horror Nights, and when are you guys planning on going, if you guys are planning on going? Leave comments in the comment section. We'd absolutely love to read them. And as always, if you guys like this, don't forget to join this channel on this journey to 15,000 subscribers, and we will see you guys next week on Fear Freaks. Good night, everybody.